Welcome to the Sports Bash pre-show. It is presented by Ready Roof. They are a full-service roofing contractor serving all of Long Island, New York. They pride themselves on a one-of-a-kind customer service experience and offer the best and newest products to make your roof ready for the elements. To book an appointment and a free consultation, call 631-892-9303. Good morning again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz, joined as always by Vinny Tickets. Coming up on Sports Bash in just a few minutes, we're going to talk a lot more about the Yankees-Orioles game last night. We'll talk about the Mets winning streak coming to an end. There was an interesting piece of soccer history last night for the Red Bulls. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But first of all, good morning, Vinny.
Good morning, Peter. Did it involve Pelé?
It did not involve Pelé, although I do like your recall, very, very good,
Yes.
on our little conversation about the pronunciation of the greatest soccer player to ever step onto a pitch.
But you do hear so often, Pele.
I grew up saying Pele.
Yes.
So when my dad first took me to a Cosmos game in 1977, it was right after Pele's, or in that case, as I was calling him, Pele's last game ever
Gotcha.
for the Cosmos. So I always said Pele. But when I started, watching the Cosmos a little bit more intently and becoming a bigger fan, you started to hear the announcers refer to him as Pelé. And it was really only the mainstream announcers that called him Pele, because that was the easy way out. He came over, it looks like it's Pele. And then in 2013, when the Cosmos came back to life in a different form of the North American Soccer League, I was their PA announcer, and Pelé was at the very first game, and I got to introduce him. So, which was an awesome thing for me, and I was like worried I got to pronounce his name correctly. So I practiced over and over again, Pelé. Got
it.
To the point where it got me into an argument with the Boomer and Geo crew one morning at the Fan that what's Pelé? It's Pele. No, it's Pelé.
There you go.
There you go. Anyway, we digress because I wanted to start by talking about the Yankees-Orioles game last night, and I know it was a tough loss for the Yankees in 10 innings, 7-6. But I'll say this, and I think based on our conversation yesterday, I think you will agree with me. The Yankees may have lost the game last night, but I certainly think they sent the right message that we were both asking for yesterday. And I think they did it at the right time, even though it cost them a run and probably cost them the game last night. The fact that they didn't have Garrett Cole throw at Gunnar Henderson, they had Victor Martinez come in and throw at him, and it did lead to the fifth Orioles run. But I think it was the right decision. The Yankees had to do that. You can't have people, even whether it's on purpose or not, you can't have pitchers throwing at your best player. And I think the Yankees had the perfect answer for that last night, and I'm proud of them for doing it even though they lost the game.
I agree with that.
So
had to be done. Absolutely had to be done. The game has some unwritten rules, and that's one of the unwritten rules. It's not really spoken about, but it is an unwritten rule. You come for us, we come for you, period.
And I have to look at the schedule. I should have looked at this beforehand, but I don't know how many more games the Yankees and Orioles have. I'm sure they play at least one more series in both ballparks. So you have a long road to go here before you determine who's going to win the American League East, who are going to be the wild card winners, whatever. This is going to be a battle for first place. The Yankees may have built a 3.5 or a 4.5 game lead. Now it's down to a game and a half. But this is going to be a grind, and the Yankees are going to have to deal with more injuries. They'll have to deal with droughts. They'll have to deal with whatever they have to deal with, and the Orioles will have to do with that too. But the Yankees needed to send a message last night, and all hail Victor Gonzalez, for throwing the ball at Gunnar Henderson. It was at an obscure time of the game. Granted, it did lead to a run. But absolutely kudos to the Yankees and Victor Gonzalez last night for taking care of business. As far as the Mets go, really quick, before we welcome in our radio audience, a tough game for them. Their 7-game winning streak comes to an end, losing 7-1. We want to hear from the Yankee and the Met fans at 631-451-1039, but the Mets let a 3-1 lead slip away.
Yeah, well, they were hot for a while. So
Can't win them all. They're still hot. 7 wins in a row, ending last night. But a rough night for the baseball locals, both the Yankees and the Mets losing. We have much more to talk about coming up. We'll talk about the Yankees and the Mets. We'll talk about, as I mentioned, there's an interesting Red Bull story that we're going to get to on the update. That's coming up. The Islanders re-sign a key piece of the puzzle for the present and the future. I'll get into that. Sports Bash coming up in just a matter of moments, brought to you by TicketBash.com.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Falcone Law Firm. If you need to speak to an attorney, call them at 631-6074-LAW. That's 631-607-4529. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. Visit their website at martylyonsfoundation.org, and by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. You can call them for more info at 516-509-8277. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. The man to my right is Vinny Tickett. 631-451-1039 is the number to call to join the show. Later in the show, we'll have This Day in Sports History with WizKid Vinny. But once again, good morning, Vinny, after a rough night for the baseball locals last night.
Rough night here in New York. We have some more baseball coming up. Early game today for the Yankees.
4 o'clock.
You know, I did hear something, and I didn't catch it. I was actually getting a drink, but I did hear why they made it a 4 o'clock start. Do you know the reason?
I don't know the reason.
Yeah, they said last night on the air, and I asked my wife, did you catch that? She was too busy looking at Anthony Volpe, telling me how cute he is. Oh, I really wish Nicky. I said, Nicky's 16. This is a 22-year-old man. So anyway, yeah, interesting.
Anthony Volpe. It is time for the Sports Bash Flash, brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner is located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. In the Bronx last night, Yankees rallied from 5-1 down to tie the game, but the Orioles beat the Yankees 7-6 in 10 innings, and the Yankees' lead over the Orioles in the AL East is down to a game and a half. If you heard us on the pre-show, you know that I said maybe this is just, sour grapes or trying to spin a negative. But although the Yankees lost the game, I thought it was positive that Victor Gonzalez did retaliate and throw at Gunnar Henderson after Aaron Judge was hit the night before. Here's the other positive last night. Garrett Cole made his season debut, and he allowed 2 runs and 3 hits over 4 innings plus.
Felt pretty good. Good command for the most part, and made some good pitches when we needed to make some good pitches.
And he struck out 5, walked 1. Yankees and Orioles again in the Bronx today with a 4:05 first pitch. The Mets' 7-game winning streak comes to an end with a 5-3 loss to the Rangers in Arlington. It's an off day for the Mets today as they get set for a series with the Cubs starting on Friday in Chicago. Big signing, I thought, maybe under the radar for people who don't follow hockey that closely, but the Islanders re-signed forward Kyle McLean to a 3-year deal. They got him at the league minimum, $775,000, and for the Islanders going into the offseason with cap issues, for Lou Lamoriello to get a kid that they brought up during the season that became a surprise contributor and helped the Islanders get to the playoffs, and the Islanders have serious cap problems. So for them to sign what they think is going to be a key piece of the puzzle for this coming year and upcoming seasons, for Lou Lamoriello to get him to sign for the league minimum for 3 years, I thought was a tremendous move.
Yeah, and it also tells you about the player. He's buying in when someone does that. And listen, let's call a spade here. To make $775,000 and say, yeah, he's really taking it on the chin. Most people, including me, would look at that and say, oh, is it really taking it on the chin?
Yeah,
but
it's still a good living.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But I think that's a great move for the Islanders, getting him signed, because now they can go to business and get ready, maybe make some trades and get a free agent signing. But to get Kyle McLean locked up at that price is tremendous. The Devils with a big move yesterday, acquiring goalie Jacob Markstrom from the Flames. The Liberty host the LA Sparks tonight at Barclays Center. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. And I bring this up because we've talked a lot on the show about Caitlin Clark and not being on the Olympic team, but Sparks rookie forward Cameron Brink is out for the rest of the season and the Summer Olympics after suffering a torn ACL in her left knee during Tuesday's game with Connecticut. So with her out, does that open up a roster spot now for Caitlin Clark?
Well, of course it opens up a roster spot.
Do they fill that roster spot?
The real question is, do they fill it with Caitlin? That's the question.
When it was first announced that she was being left off the team, people wondered, well, if there's an injury, there's bound to be somebody who's not going to play. Do they Was she is she the first
First
call-up?
runner-up. Is she the first
I don't
runner-up?
know, and I think hopefully we'll find out sooner rather than later from USA Basketball if Caitlin Clark is added to the roster. But that was the reason I brought that up. I know a lot of local basketball fans that go to see the Liberty were hoping to see Cameron Brink tonight at Barclays Center. And I think they're also playing on Saturday or Sunday. LA is in for 2 games, but she's out now, and I guess that's going to bring up another question, because now if Caitlin Clark is not added to the team, you're going to have even more drama about what's going on with Caitlin Clark. Here's the other story I touched on in the pre-show. The Red Bulls playing to a 2-2 tie with Montreal. 16-year-old New York City native Julian Hall scored the game-tying goal in the 88th minute. At 16 years and 87 days old, he is the youngest player in Red Bulls history to score a goal. He is the second youngest goal scorer in Major League Soccer history. Freddie Adu scoring at 14 years, 320 days back in 2004. 16 years old, scored a goal in a Major League Soccer game. He should be in high school.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, the other amazing is the Adu statistic. I had no idea about that.
14 years old, he scored a goal.
14.
So
He didn't even start shaving yet.
no, not at all. And so 16 years old from New York City. And it just even if you don't follow soccer, if you don't like it, and I know a lot of people don't follow it, but just think about this. A New York City kid is drafted by the Red Bulls. And at 16 years old, he scores a goal in the 88th minute, 2 minutes to go in the game, to tie the game. That's just an incredible. I mean, that's a cool story, no matter whether you like soccer or you don't like soccer.
Yeah, that is a great story. Did they show his family? Do we know?
I did not see the game. I only saw a clip of the goal, so I don't think his family were. I don't know if they were at the game. The game was in Montreal. It was not at Red Bull Arena.
I didn't see the goal. How did they score?
It was a beautiful goal. It was a couple of setups, a couple of headers, and he came flying in and headed the ball in with 2 minutes to go. Just a great athletic play. So congratulations to Julian Hall and the Red Bulls. That's a great moment, because when you're building a team, obviously you want to build from the ground up. You want to build from within, and a lot of these soccer teams have academies where they draft players at a young age, get them signed, and they bring them up through the academy. That's how soccer works in a lot of places. And for the Red Bulls now to have this kid, a local homegrown kid, come up through their system and score a huge goal, 16 years old with 2 minutes to go in the game. And I listen, I think he's a great story. I'd love to get him on the show. I think he'd be. I don't know if he's wordy with his interviews, but if I would love to get him on the show. I think he'd be a great person to talk to.
Yeah. Well, it is summer, so he's out of high school right now. So maybe we could get him on.
Right. I would think so. But I mean, like what I did also read, and this is interesting, and you as a businessman would understand what the labor laws are. But earlier in the season, the Red Bulls were not allowed to use him because he was in violation of the New Jersey labor laws.
Oh, for his age. That's really
Yeah,
interesting.
so
I never
now
thought
I
about
don't know
that.
why he was allowed to play last night. So he's 16 years, 87 days old. So maybe it's because
Maybe
he
when they
recently-
brought him up before he turned 16.
yeah,
kind of
he
thing.
couldn't do it, and or maybe because he's playing in Montreal. The game was in Montreal last night.
that's possible.
So I don't know all of the details around that, but I just think that was a terrific story. 631-451-1039 is the number to call. The other thing I wanted to bring up, we were talking about salaries before. Monty Williams, the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, was fired yesterday. 5 years left on his contract, $65 million still owed to him. Now, most of us schlumps are just trying to make it through a day of work, a week of work, a month of work, get our bills paid, and everything like that. So we, just like any other hardworking person, we all try to strive to put a roof over our heads, food on the table, clothes on our bodies. But Monty Williams now is living the American dream because and it's crazy. Now follow me on this. He has literally got 5 years of salary and $65 million. This man does not have to get out of bed at all for the next 5 years. And that money is coming in.
Not a bad gig.
I don't think he's going to not get out of bed. I think he's going to try and get another coaching job somewhere. But just put it into context, 5 years and $65 million for doing nothing.
Not a bad job.
I mean, it's good. Where do I sign up for that?
Yes. Yeah.
I could have coached the Pistons to the number of wins they had last year.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when we were 22, you and I, we took a left turn. We should have made a right turn.
I mean, some days you wake up and you think, what am I doing?
Yeah.
$65 million for 5 years. He doesn't have to lift a finger to do anything. He can literally, take a walk through the mall, and he could go on vacation. He can do whatever he wants to do, and he doesn't have to worry about life at all.
The phone lines are open if you want to make a comment about that as
Sure,
well.
631-451-1039. How incredible is that to know you've got that money coming in? And I do think he'll get another coaching job, and they'll offset the difference in the money, because if another team signs him to be their coach, that money comes off of what the Pistons will owe him. But just to put it into context and a perspective, that's what the next 5 years are going to look like for Monty Williams if he chooses not to coach one more game in the NBA. Still plenty more to come here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. We've got a whiz kid coming in with This Day in Sports History. We'll tell you about some upcoming shows. We've got a really cool week ahead of us coming up here on the program. It's Peter Schwartz, it's Vinny Tickets, it's Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, stay with us during the commercial break. We'll hear from our friends at the Embassy Diner. We'll talk a little bit more about the Yankees and the Orioles, and when we come back, we'll have This Day in Sports History and much, much more. Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com is coming right back after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bed. Always good to hear from the Embassy Diner, our friend Gus, and I know he is planning on a big, big weekend coming up. A lot of high school graduations, including my son Bradley graduating from MacArthur High School on Saturday. So you know the Embassy Diner is going to be filled the rest of this week and through the weekend with a lot of people going to and from high school graduations around Long Island.
Yeah, take a lot of pictures, Peter. We want to see the pictures.
Absolutely. Who are you talking to here?
Yeah, this is true.
You see, if my wife Cheryl was sitting here right now, she would turn to you and say,
Do you know him?
Do you know him?
Do you know Peter?
Have you followed him?
Yes.
How many pictures he takes? And we've already put Bradley on notice, because sometimes Bradley can be a little eerie about pictures. We've already put him on notice. You have to take some pictures on Saturday. Grandma's going to be in from Florida. Grandma Gail is here in New York. She wants to take some pictures with you. Grandma Ruthie from Florida. So we have to get this done.
So we have Grandma Ruthie and Grandma Gail?
Right. Well, Grandma Ruthie was here last week from Florida for Jared's middle school graduation. She flew home. Now she's flying back, and double graduation. So
there you go.
We could talk more about Bradley's graduation coming up. We welcome back our radio audience. Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets, back with you on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. 631-451-1039 is the number to call. We have a lot on the table. We can talk about the Yankees and the Orioles from last night, and the Yankees doing the right thing and retaliating for Aaron Judge getting hit the other day. We can talk about the Mets' winning streak coming to an end last night. We touched on the Red Bulls player at 16 years old, Julian Hall, that scored last night, game-tying goal, which is a great story. And we also talked about Monty Williams, fired as the Pistons coach, but still going to cash in for 5 years and $65 million. Not bad work if you can get it. 631-451-1039, the number to call. It is today, Thursday, June 20th. Correct? Thursday,
Yes.
June 20th. I wanted to make sure I had the right date.
Yes.
So let's go back in time and see what happened on this date in whatever year he chose today. Here's WizKid Vinny.
Thanks, Peter. And in this day in 1936, like often the case, Jesse Owens, the legendary track star, broke the world record for the 100-meter dash, which was 10.2 seconds. And he held that for 5 years until Harold Davis would break it literally just 5 years later. And this was done at the Track and Field Championships for the NCAA in Stagg Field in Chicago. And he also was number one in that event for not just 100-meter, but also 200-meter, 200-meter low hurdle, and the long jump. Ohio State was not able to win. USC won it with 103 and a third points. Yes, that was the points they won. And this was just a couple months before Jesse Owens would have his phenomenal performance at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, which, as we all know, is what he's most famous for.
It's a great job on this day in sports history, and it got me thinking today, because you like to do fun activities when you're doing a show. So we're here at our LI News Radio studios in MacArthur Airport here on Long Island, and we're near the baggage claim area, and there's a lot of room. And Vinny is doing that story about track and field. Who do you think would win a race if we raced from the front of the studio here all the way to the end of the baggage claim area and back? We have some interesting people on our staff here. There's me, who can't run at all. There's you, Vinny. There's Wiz, and Chris and Nick and Sebastiano. If we had a sports bash dash back and forth, who wins the sports bash dash?
Listen, for me, that's an easy one. I mean, I always put my money on myself, so I'm going to go with myself again at the risk of sounding, very self-serving. But I take myself as the winner on that
Wiz,
one.
who would you favor in the sports bash dash back and forth in the baggage claim area here at MacArthur Airport?
Do we have to jump over the carousel or just the straight run?
No, straight. There's plenty of room out there if you look.
A straight run out, straight
Nick,
run back.
I don't know if you can get our viewers a shot at the open window there, but if you want to like turn the camera for people who aren't familiar with MacArthur Airport, that right there, that's a lot of room. That's a lot of room to have a sports bash dash. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's about 100 yards, it looks like. I don't know.
And it's to the end and back.
So it's a 200-yard dash.
I don't think it would be 10.2 seconds. And I can tell you one thing, I would definitely not put money on myself, that's for sure.
Yeah. Chris, you put your hand up. You think you're going to win? You think Chris Gannon thinks he would win? All right, maybe it's something to think about. We'd have to get, the security office is right around the corner here,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they would, sanction it whatsoever. But it came to mind when Wiz was doing the track and field story.
Yeah,
If
let's
we had
go.
the sports bash dash.
Bring it on.
What do you think? We can get it sponsored?
Yes, we'll get it sponsored.
We'll get it sponsored.
We'll talk to Gus.
Yes.
Our buddy Gus.
Or some other places. We'll
Yes.
see. A couple of big shows coming up on Monday. We've got a Sports Bash doubleheader on Monday. Our regular show at 9 o'clock on Monday, we're going to be talking to noted baseball author Brett Topel, who has written 5 books, mainly about the Mets. Well, one book covered a bunch of teams in New York sports history. And with the Subway Series getting underway on Tuesday and Wednesday at Citi Field, I thought it'd be a good time to, on Monday, take a look back at the history of the Subway Series. It's interesting because it was always just the Mayor's Trophy game every year. Remember before interleague play?
Yes, of course.
And my first game that I ever went to in my life was the 1972 Mayor's Trophy game at Yankee Stadium, Yankees and the Mets. And I'll leave the details to the show with Brett, but it was always just the Mayor's Trophy game. It was I just knocked your glasses off the table. Sorry about that. First snafu here on the program. First time we've knocked something off the table.
That should be the worst part of my
Yeah,
day.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
But it was always just the Mayor's Trophy game, midway, sometime during the season, and Mets and Yankees would call up guys from the minors to play in the game. Sometimes they played in spring training. Sometimes they would play a home-and-home exhibition games at Yankee and Shea Stadium to start the season. They would do that. But then in 1997, the Subway Series began with interleague play. So I thought it would be good to kind of like look back, get some of Brett's thoughts on his best memories. And I know he's a Mets fan, so he'll have Mets-sided memories, and you and I will have some Yankee-sided memories. I think the Subway Series is great. I think 2-2 was the best thing that they could have done. I would have liked them to do it. I think they did this one year where they played Monday through Thursday, 4 straight games at
Yes.
2 at one place, 2 at the other.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way, 4 games. You make it a week-long celebration of baseball in New York. I thought when they had 3, it was okay. Then they went to 3-3, which I think was too much. I think that was too much. But I like the 4 games. I'd like to see them all in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. If they want to stagger going back and forth between the 2 of them. I even liked it when they had, and we'll talk to Brett about this, because I went to it a couple of times because of rainouts. Remember they had a couple of times where they had a day-night doubleheader in
take
2
the
different
subway.
places? Cheryl and I went.
That was a true Subway Series.
That was so. There was one year Cheryl and I went to both games. We started the day at Yankee Stadium. We took the Long Island Railroad into the city, went down to the South Street Seaport, took the boat to Yankee Stadium, and then back. And we got back to the South Street Seaport. We went into the mall there, and we changed because I was wearing a home Yankee jersey. She was wearing an away Mets jersey, and we flip-flopped. And then we got on the subway to go to Shea. I was in my road Yankee shirt. She was in her home shirt. And then we drove back because my in-laws met us at the game at Shea Stadium that night, and then we drove home. So that was a day-long baseball festival.
I tell you, you have a trooper of a wife. That's
She's the best.
She's great.
Absolutely. And that's just part one of our Monday doubleheader, because then on Monday at 11:30 in the morning, we're going to be at the Cold Spring Country Club in Huntington for the St. Jude Big Daddy Celebrity Golf Classic, live at 11:30, streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And we're going to have some great guests, some great celebrities are taking part in that golf outing. A great event for a great cause. Big Daddy's good to the show and a good friend of the program, so we're looking forward to being out there. And I know Jim Leyritz, the former Yankee, is going to be there. Michael Strahan is going to be there. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to, it's time-wise, they're going to be able to stop by, but we're going to have a good number of people coming by our set. Just a great event, and looking forward to being out there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day, and we're calling for good weather as well.
I think so. I did see the advanced weather forecast on the weather app on the phone, so that is something to look forward to. So we're going to have, again, the double dip of Sports Bash on Monday. Tomorrow on Sports Bash is a free Ticket Friday, courtesy of ticketbash.com. What do you have in store? We've been going back and forth, Yankees and Mets. See, the tickets are your department.
Yankees, Mets. I think we're going to do something at Bald Hill.
Something at Bald Hill tomorrow.
Catholic Health Amphitheater at Bald Hill actually has a great lineup this year. So we'll pick one of those shows and we'll give away a couple of seats to a show there.
Absolutely. It's a great venue, and looking forward to seeing a show out there. And how about that? Just we'll touch back on the Subway Series for a second. It's always been a hot ticket, and obviously, the games are all expected to be, regular sales sellouts, both at Citi Field and at Yankee Stadium. What's your advice on people who don't have tickets right now? Obviously, you can get all your tickets at ticketbash.com, but what's your advice to the people who do not have a ticket and are looking to go to one of those 4 games? Let's start with the 2 games next week at Citi Field.
2 games next week. Actually, if you'd like and you want to purchase online, I'm glad you brought that up, Peter. We are giving a limited time discount code. Use the code SBR15 and you'll get 15% off. And there's no fees on the site ever, and it's 15% below the price we show.
SBR15 is the code to use for that discount on ticketbash.com. Well, that will do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by the aforementioned ticketbash.com. Sports Bash is also sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, Falcone Law Firm, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and by Collaborate Studios. So, for our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz saying thank you for watching and listening. We're back for a free Ticket Friday on Friday morning, 9 o'clock, right here on Sports Bash, presented by Ticket.